Hello and welcome to ReSync, an Assassin's Creed podcast. I'm your host, Landon, joined by my co-host, once again, and for all time, my buddy Lucas.
That's
What's
me.
up, Lucas?
What's up? How you doing?
I'm tired. But what else is new? I feel like that's how it's been every week.
Yeah, always tired.
Always tired. But in no small part due to Assassin's Creed, which I was trying to figure out how I wanted to frame that, because it's not a diss to Assassin's Creed, because I actually play it because, again, we're on this new schedule now. We're a day earlier, but then that means that, I don't play it multiple days before now. I played it last night, which is cool because then my recollection's better. That much better since I just played it. But I'm definitely gonna have to plan ahead in terms of sequence 13 when I do that cleanup, right, for the 100%. So I'm definitely gonna have to grind multiple days for that. But I was having a lot of fun last night playing this new sequence where we are finally in Venice, and which is, in my opinion, I think it's the best location so far.
Yeah, I like it a lot. It's very pretty.
Yeah, it's very pretty. It's the biggest city we've been in so far, and features a lot of different, it's got the canals, and so you're constantly dealing with different types of water, which, we talked about last week about how cool it is to have a game in 2009 where you can just swim all over the place, and they just have these integrated water mechanics. Honestly, I feel like they looked at Venice and were like, we need to add this, or otherwise it's going to be a pain in the ass. I do feel like, because it's not really introduced as a concept until you get to Forlì, which is right before Venice, and I feel like by the time they were working on Forlì, they knew I feel like Venice was probably one of the first location they thought of for this game.
Probably,
It's the city, yeah. So
I love how right before you go to Venice, they're like, here's how you use a boat, and then you go to Venice and it's there's boats everywhere.
Literally. So it's you might need this. Might make your life easier, which it does.
Yeah, it does, because I definitely do get annoyed in Venice though when I have to navigate around these bridges or figure out how to cross over the rooftop across the canal, because the canals are intricately laid out.
Well, have you ever considered just getting good? You're supposed to be a parkour master.
Oh, it's fine. It's just I get lost sometimes because I'm like, well, I shouldn't have gone this way.
That's fair. Yeah, it is learning a new, because especially doing the 100%, I'm spending a lot of time in these cities, and so I pretty much had Florence and Tuscany down to a pat, just spending 5 sequences in them, they combined with the two, and so I had the city's layouts pretty much down. At the very least, Florence I had down to a pat, and so now going to this new city, there is definitely a bit of a growing pains period of just kind of navigating. And again, I think I've only played through this section of Assassin's Creed 2 once. I've played through the opening sequence I don't know how many times, but I think I've only played through the full game once. Maybe twice, but I don't think so. So, a lot of this, it's been 10 years since I've played. So, just it is kind of rediscovering it. I do forget a lot of the intricate plot details and gameplay mechanics, and I just keep getting wowed by how much, we're halfway through the game now. We still got a whole nother half, and they just keep throwing new concepts, keep innovating on what's came before, just in the different ways they've improved. Because we also, and we'll get into the details of all this later, but we have a full-on Altair sequence in this game.
Oh yeah,
something I didn't think was a thing until Revelations. I completely forgot about this. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I completely forgot. And just looking at how they have bridged the first and the second game, because they very easily could have just had this be Ezio's adventure, have the callback / loose connection to the first game through Desmond, right, in the present day story, but there's all these different connections to Altair in the first game, and it kind of sucks now that we have these just one game for each character, and it's kind of like their whole journey, and then they just move on. And like the interconnectedness of the Assassin's Creed franchise is paper thin now, which, you know, like a lot of their interconnected stuff kind of fell apart. I understand why they wanted to just focus on the core gameplay. And, you know, to an extent, that is kind of what they need to do right now, because they are in a space where a lot of fans just have kind of moved on, and they need to get them back before really building anything else. And I feel that like that's what Shadows is set out to accomplish.
Yeah, and these early games really focused on the kind of the ancestry concept of it all.
Right.
So like the connections between Altair and Ezio are kind of because of their lineage, you know?
Right.
Because they're related, and they have. So it's like it's kind of their whole journey, like the family's journey almost.
Right. Yeah.
And that's their focus for that.
That's fair. Which I mean, nowadays it's like Shadows is literally launching with the like, you know, like the whole premise of like Assassin's Creed or the Animus Hub is that anybody can access the Animus now and just access random people's memories. So that whole lineage aspect is kind of out the window now. So like
I don't really care as much as connecting them, I feel like.
Yeah.
It sucks.
Well, I also feel like it is kind of like a desperation tactic where it's like the more they try to connect these games, the more you are forcing gamers to play through hundreds, like at this point, probably thousands of hours into all the games before to try to understand it. Which, like, there is interconnected stuff. Like, there is, like, they have the storyline still going. It is still there. It's you know, like, mostly forgotten. But, like, they've actually done some pretty crazy stuff that a lot of people just aren't aware of because they usually don't get that far into these games or pay that close attention to it. But to be fair, specifically in the last couple of games, like Valhalla and Mirage, they've done some pretty, like, groundbreaking stuff with the present day. It's just by this point, most people don't care about it.
Because they fucked it up in 3.
Exactly. But anyway,
more on that later.
We'll get into the proper sequence here in a second, but just wanted to mention here real quick the trivia question for last week. Malarkey, you son of a bitch, you've done it again.
Yeah, you did.
So the trivia question was, what does Ezio first call Caterina upon meeting her? Malarkey correctly guessed Madonna, which is Italian for my lady, and also a famous pop singer that his family babysat for. Found out about this. That's pretty wild.
It is wild.
But yeah, so that is what he first calls her. Like I said, it's Italian for my lady, not all that, you know, surprising or whatever. You know, if you, I guess, had like Italian heritage, you might have been able to guess that on your own. But that is what he called her. Stay tuned. I think I got a pretty good stumper this time because this week's trivia question is only if you're really going for like the everything stat, like getting everything you can out of this game. So,
and you have to do it right away.
Yep. It's kind of a blink and you'll miss it type thing, and it's actually really cool. I didn't actually tell you what it was.
Yeah, I missed it. I'm sad.
But I will after. It's really funny, and it's something that we'll get a good chuckle about next week when I reveal it. But sequence 7. So this is like the midway point, kind of sort of like, you know, after this, there's 14 sequences. This is 7 out of it. Again, we're in the second act of the game. We've got hitting the groove, but again, we're now introduced to this whole big city or whatever. But picking up where we left off, we're getting on the ship, and Leonardo tells Ezio that Caterina is actually the Duke of Milan's daughter and the Lord of Milan's wife. So she is a taken woman, but she sure as hell didn't act like that last sequence. So, you know,
no,
she wanted some, you know, she wanted some hidden blade, if you know what I'm saying. So, you know, like who knows what's going on there. But basically, he's like, hey, you need to be chill. You need to not stick your dick in that because that'll definitely get you in some trouble, even though you get into trouble anyway. Which Ezio doesn't really care. He's just like, that's my type of woman. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's like, you know.
Bang, bang.
Exactly. Bang, bang, bang. And so, then Rebecca rudely interrupts you guys' boy talk to pull you out of the Animus. We're finally gotten out, like it used to be every sequence we were getting pulled out of the Animus. Now we made it through almost half the game before. She's like, all right. Basically saying that, they don't want to get overwhelmed. She's modified the Animus to help with longer sessions, but warns that prolonged exposure can result in a lot of different side effects.
Will fuck you up.
Basically gonna make you batshit insane because you won't be able to tell your memories from your ancestors, and it's all gonna blend together and everything.
Which is what happened to what's his name?
Subject 16.
Yeah, I always forget.
But so yeah, I mean that's referencing that. And Lucy essentially beckons Desmond downstairs to test the bleeding effect results to see how much of Ezio's training he's sort of like sapped in as his own. But before you do that, you can have some conversations with people.
It has to be before.
It has to be before because, I mean, like I said, I played the first game, all right? I had all those conversations with Lucy, and so I knew, I remembered I was all up in that. And so first I talked to Sean, where Desmond asks him about Subject 16's hidden data, which is the glyphs you're finding throughout the game, which Sean begrudgingly admits that he doesn't know what it is, but wishing that he could use the Animus himself, so that he can just get in and do it and figure it out himself.
He's such a dick.
But Lucy, he does say that like Lucy thinks it has something to do with the Codex, which a lot of the conversations did have to do with the Codex. The Codex does kind of seem to be like the driving theme of, like the first game is all about finding the pieces of Eden. Seems like the big driving thing for the second one is that Codex, and trying to find different stuff because he then, if you have another conversation with Sean, he starts talking about looking for the Codex pages in the present day, basically saying like he's potentially found traces in some museums or whatnot, but like it's all just kind of scattered to where he asks about, like, Desmond asks how it came to be in Italy, and to which you actually, like, I already knew the answer to this because if you play the auditory crypt side mission, it lays out all of it like in like different like tone or these like stone tablets that are inscribed with the auditory family history, but Sean tells him some of the information, and I was a little disappointed that Desmond wasn't like, actually, I did this one thing, where it's like, because technically they should already know all this stuff. But Sean tells Desmond that Marco Polo gave them to Dante Alighieri in the 13th century, but the details are unknown. Except I know the details, because I played that side mission, which Lucas hasn't yet, so we won't get into it.
I'm going to. Actually, this one I wanted to play for a while. I just haven't.
Yeah. Suck. But I know all the nitty-gritty details about how that went down. And like I said, I was a little disappointed that they didn't bring that up. Because I'm like, I literally, like, the data is in the Animus. Like, I played through that. You should know exactly where that came from.
It would be cool if it was one of those games I was like, he got this. So, like, we're going to add some extra dialogue.
Exactly. So, they didn't go quite that far. So, that's why it's not a 10 out of 10. It's only a 9. All right? It's just that in Tuscany. But, you can then have another conversation with Sean. It just lets you yap to Sean for a while.
Holy cow.
Where you can basically ask about how Sean became an assassin. To which Sean, once again, he's just a snotty guy. Not quite as snotty as the beginning of the game, but still pretty snotty. And so, he's like, most of you guys are all born into the Brotherhood. Like, I didn't. Like, I figured it out. Because he basically says he was a little hacker man. And, figured out that Abstergo was up to no good. And then basically got noticed by everybody because of it. And so Rebecca was the first person to notice him. And then, it wasn't too long after that before the Templars did as well. So he was basically forced to join the Assassins or just be on the run by himself for the rest of his life. And so, he didn't really have any issue with joining the Assassins, but it's not like he really had any other choice in the matter. Genuinely good choice. And so he got roped into the Assassins because he essentially tried to do some like cyber warrior justice shit, like trying to like, post on forums, get people like trying to figure out like, hey, Abstergo's like up to some shenanigans. And that got the attention of a bunch of people, some good, some very not good.
Oof.
And so that is kind of how he became,
Good job, Sean.
Abstergo's like data analyst and everything. And so, yeah.
Freaking butthole.
But those are the side conversations you can have with Sean. It's completely optional, completely missable, because Luke's didn't have those conversations.
Yeah, you can't get him on the way back, which, I tried talking to him.
Yeah. Nope, nothing. But then you can also talk to Rebecca. And so, Rebecca, says you're doing a good job, which essentially prompts Desmond to comment that it's nice working for the good guys. And lo and behold, Sean butts in yet again. He's like, are you sure about that? Are you sure you're working for the good guys? And they get into a whole philosophical discussion about whether or not assassins are good guys, because they're still killing people and taking lives. And Rebecca's like, well, it's for the greater good. And Sean's like, yeah, but you're still choosing to do that. Like, no one's forcing you to be here, but you're still choosing to take a life. And so just get into a deep philosophical conversation about, the act of killing and how that can necessarily be construed as good looking at necessary evils. Obviously, it's just an optional dialogue cutscene, so it's not like it goes super in depth, but they do have a little debate about it for a bit. And so, like I said, Rebecca claims it's a necessary evil, but Sean states it's a voluntary one nonetheless. And so they kind of leave it at that. But then there's a second conversation with Rebecca. And that is what involves my trivia question this week. And I don't want to give too much away here to make it too easy. But essentially, Desmond asks about the Animus and how it's holding up, to which Rebecca comments on something, prompting Desmond to be like, oh, yes, this is really nice. What is he referring to? Now, it may seem like I'm asking a pretty broad question, but anybody who's listened to that dialogue will know, because it's a very, meta reference type thing that I cackled when hearing, and it's really, really funny. And we'll talk about it after the podcast, and then again, I'll say it when we talk about the trivia question next week. But it is super, super hilarious, and so that is the trivia question this week. What is Desmond talking about? What is that second conversation? What does he bring up as a new feature of the Animus? In his second optional conversation with Rebecca. See if you can get that one, malarkey. Anyway. So, those are the optional conversations you've got. Heading downstairs, you can then practice Ezio's skills by
parkour,
pressing some buttons. And so, you're essentially, parkouring around this, basically enclosed shipyard design in a warehouse. And, Lucy's yapping the whole time pretty much. And, she takes the blame for Subject 16's death due to negligence and whatnot, because she was, the engineer with 16, just like she was with Desmond. Yeah. So very similar situation. But, he didn't make it out. He went crazy and everything. And so she harbors a lot of guilt because of that. And, Desmond tries to do his little cavalier, it's not your fault. You didn't know. You were just as much a prisoner as I was. I don't buy that, though. Yeah. That's the thing. Yes and no.
She starts tripping.
She's got an ID. She can do whatever she wants in Abstergo, pretty much. So, I don't really think it was the exact same bow. I don't agree with Desmond there, but I get the sentiment. But, yeah, so, yeah, he tries to reassure her, and then she, walks off, and you say, good night. And, yeah, as he heads back to his room, all of a sudden he starts, blending between realities, which
is already kind of happening when you're in the warehouse a little bit.
Right, yeah, he'll get little
seeing,
things.
Horses, and you're like, what's going on?
Yeah, and essentially Lucy's just like, if it's not longer than 30 seconds, then no big deal.
Yeah.
Until this one, which is most definitely longer than 30 seconds.
Yeah, and then they don't act like it's no big deal afterwards. But yeah, this one's really cool.
And so, essentially, Desmond just has a dream of Altair in Aker.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, so you get to play as Ocker, which it's 100% the same assets from 2007. Do you know where you're at in Ocker? Because I do.
I wasn't paying that much. I mean, not.
Well, you went because you're chasing this woman, right?
Yeah.
Like it's this target, and as you're chasing her, she gets to the like corner of Ocker where you're on that like corner roof where it does like the 90-degree angle. That's right where we had to kill a target. Remember? The one commander of the armies, and they're all like they all corral in there. Yeah, and they have all the archers there.
I do know you're
that's exactly where you're at. I was like, I know exactly where this is. And so, so they
so you gotta catch this girl.
Yeah,
The Templar cross on her.
yeah. But they 100% just ripped the assets from the first game, which
yeah.
I'm not surprised.
It
I
didn't
mean,
look that bad,
no shame to them. Yeah. Oh yeah, they definitely touched them up. They were definitely they added some textures to them and whatnot because it was a good looking game, especially like playing on the Assassin's Creed Ezio collection. Obviously it's touched up a little bit, which. The character models don't look great in that remaster. Like that's what everybody like always gives shit about because it's just everything's been smoothed over, so it just doesn't look great. But the Assassin's Creed 1 sequence looks great. It looks great with the remaster. Just seeing it in like I think it's 1080. I don't think they actually did 4K on Xbox. They did on PlayStation because the PS4 Pro was out by that point. But I do think Xbox is just an upscaled 1080. But hey, it looks great in 1080. I'll tell you what. Especially with that kind of like bluish tint to it that they have. It's a nice little throwback. But yeah, you're chasing after this woman who turns out to be the Templar Maria. Which, do you remember who Maria is?
Is that the chick you save? Or spare?
Yeah, it's the chick you spare in the first game.
Not save. Yeah, but spare.
Yeah, it's for the one who was impersonating Roberta Sal.
Yeah,
there towards the end of the game.
Towards the end, yep. And she was all like, da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
She got mad at you.
Yeah. So that was.
Then you banged.
Yeah, he impregnates her.
Yeah, and then you become her. Well, not really become her.
You become her
embryo.
baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, you start
fertilized
going
embryo.
into the baby. So and that's where you wake up. Because you start tripping walking back to your room, but all of a sudden you're in your bed, sleeping. So you just kind of like...
Yeah, and then they're just like, you're awake now, sleepyhead.
Well, Rebecca wakes you up and is like, hey, tired to wake you, but it's time to get going.
Yeah, and I just want to know, you went from being in a hallway and like passing out to like in your bed. Like, how'd you get there? And how is nobody like, what the fuck happened to Desmond? They're like, he's just sleepy, and they just carried him to his bed. Like, what the hell?
Well, I don't know. I'm taking it under the assumption that bro was just exhausted from the day, that he just started like slipping into a dream state, and then it was sort of like a sleepwalk situation.
And he just walked himself to bed.
Yeah. Or at least that's what I think Desmond believes happened. And that's why he doesn't really say anything to anybody, because he was like, I just had like a crazy ass dream that, is probably something to do with the Animus. But hey, at least it's not like, during my waking hours or whatever, one time thing. Cool. Just kind of like writes it off.
He just goes womp.
What's it? Womp womp. But, so he brushes off the dream and prepares to head back into the Animus. But before that, you can have a conversation with Lucy.
Yeah.
Which you actually got to have that one.
I did.
Woo-woo. And so, he checks in on Lucy, and she's basically like, says that
I'm fine. And then, she obviously wasn't fine.
Yeah. And she talks about losing 2 more teams the night before, 8 more assassins dead.
So many assassins.
Yeah, and starts, beginning to panic. And so, again, Desmond's just like, calm down, baby girl.
Yeah.
It's going to be okay.
Yeah, Lucy was pretty hopeless.
Yeah, so she's a little on edge. She's a little antsy. And you then won't talk about it after that. That's it. That's all you get from her. It's where she pulls the, like, shouldn't you be getting to bed? Type shit from the first game. And so it's time to get in the Animus. And...
you get in there.
Yeah, we get back into it. Back in Venice in 1481. And so, arriving in Venice, there is, once you get to Venice, I pretty much beelined it over to the Templar hideout. But like I said, we're going to wait until we both get through that side mission, so...
Yeah, I went... Ooh, sorry. When I went there, the first thing I did was went back to the villa.
Oh yeah.
And collect my money because I was like, hey, your money's full. I was like, ah, shit. So I went there. I upgraded all my shit again, and I'm like 2 buildings away from having everything like that you could buy from the building guy.
Oh damn. See, I barely put shit into the villa because I haven't been back. So it's like my thing's been full.
Now my thing is like 27,000 it can hold.
Damn. I think mine's somewhere around like 10K. Because I've been buying a lot of the stuff in the shops and whatnot. I've got pretty much everything maxed out in the shops. There's a few armor pieces that I need, and I think like I think I have like one more weapon I can get. There's like one that was like 20K that I didn't have the money for because I am a broke boy now. I've been spending, things are getting pretty expensive, and so I don't exactly like
Things
I make
are
money
expensive.
really quickly.
Yeah, I've been noticing that. I was like, man, I'm running out of money quick as shit this sequence.
I wasn't making money quick as shit though, because if you've noticed, they treasure is
worth a
more,
lot.
yeah, it's more valuable now.
900 for some of them. I was like, damn.
Well, yeah, like it's because instead of it being like 100 for the red boxes and 500 for the gold, it's now 500 for the red boxes and 1,000 for the gold.
Bro,
and
I did not even know they're different colored boxes.
Well, you're also colorblind, so.
Yeah, but that just kind of annoys me.
But yeah,
like, there's 2 boxes.
Yeah, there's 2 different kinds of treasure boxes. There's the red ones, which are the standard, and then there's the gold, which if you see those, you know that they're worth more.
I just was like, box.
Yeah, there's 2 types of treasure boxes.
That's good to know. So if you're colorblind and you didn't know, now you know.
Yeah, there's 2 types. But yeah, they are worth more over in Venice which makes sense. They're a little more Gucci. They got their Prada over there. That's where shit. What's the fucking family called? It's the richest people in the world right now. It's Arnold. It's fucking no, not Versace. Maybe it is Versace. I don't know. Whatever the fucking biggest clothing brand in the world is right now. But, yeah, so you arrive in Venice, and a man named Alvis, I don't know, I can't read my handwriting right now.
It's Alvis.
Yeah, Alvis offers to lead Leonardo to his new studio, taking the 2 on a quick tour of Venice.
Hell yeah.
Where you notice that things aren't exactly super great over there.
Some corruption.
Yeah, Ezio learns of Emilio, a man trying to essentially monopolize the marketplace of Venice by force. And so just, kind of strong-arming a lot of vendors out of the marketplace.
Yeah, you watch the journey of this one vendor.
Yeah, basically, yeah. There's this, like, the guards basically, like,
they're like, give me money.
His
they're like,
shop.
I paid you. And they're like, well, you can't be here anyways. I don't care. And they break his shit and cut
Yeah.
his fish up with a sword.
Yeah, no more fish. And so, like, you see him later, try to, like, go up to Emilio's place and be like, I need compensation. And they're like, no. And he's like, fine, I'll report you. And they're like, no, you're not. And they drag him inside.
Yeah.
So yeah, pretty blatant corruption going on in Venice, of which, the tour guide is basically like, man, these idiots, over here thinking they can do this type of stuff. Like, I can't wait for Emilio to bring order to this city. What a shill. What an absolute bozo. What an idiot.
What an idiot.
But, so you get this little, like, quick tour of Venice, like, showing off some of the landmarks and whatnot. But more so really just setting up, like, hey, there's not great things going on in this town right now. But essentially, Ezio's next step is to try and seek an audience with Emilio. But when he tries, the place is attacked by some thieves, and that's when he meets Rosa.
Rosa, she's kind of cute. Well, we kind of already had him bumping.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, when you're talking about like when you're going with the tour guide, you get bumped into by this certain woman.
Yeah,
who
and she looks at you like.
I was surprised. I thought I got pickpocketed because
I thought I did too. They made him like he like
lose
checked,
any money.
Yeah, he like checked his like thing, and I thought he was checking it because he got stolen from. But I think it was like, oh, it's there.
Right. Yeah. But yes, they essentially try like assaulting Emilio's fortress, but it doesn't work. They get shot down by archers, and Rosa takes one to the leg. She took an arrow to the knee, if you will, and So then all of a sudden, Ezio, like, loving women in distress, so he's got to help this woman,
Like,
escape.
I got you, babe.
Yeah, exactly. So you just lead her through Venice, doing all this stuff, trying to protect her.
Chopping people and...
Yeah, exactly. And then you start, take her, that's where you meet Ugo, who's another one of the thieves who puts her on a boat, and then you have to kind of, like, scout ahead and take out all the archers.
That was actually kind of fun.
Yeah.
You get to, like, do some parkour, and, like, I just kind of assassinated, like, psa!
Oh, yeah. 100%. I just came blazing at him. And so, you're essentially just, frolicking through Venice with these thieves.
Yeah, just stabbing people.
Yeah. And so eventually, you get them back to their hideout where you meet Antonio, which is the leader of this Venetian rebellion. All these thieves who are trying to talk, which the tour guide did mention that there was like a little growing resistance, but didn't really like think much of them, just saying they're a bunch of hooligans, essentially. Well, we're meeting the hooligans now. Who, they agree, like, they're like, oh, our motives might not be the same, but we have a common goal, and Ezio's like, fuck yeah, I'm in.
I was like, I don't give a shit.
Yeah. So, we've been in Venice for all of, what, like, 20 minutes, and we've already, like, made allies with the
We found the most
resistance.
the most popular group, or resistance group in the country.
Yeah. Because they also know us. They're like,
we know you.
Ezio,
Yeah, you've done some shit, bro. And
yeah, like, so you're working in Firenze is,
What do you call it? He called it some shit. He said our work was unrefined, which I thought was kind of annoying. He was calling us like, he was kind of saying it's like, no. It's like we were good.
I mean, to be fair, we like
the first one maybe.
Yeah, Ezio is a bit of a brute, He doesn't have a whole lot of flair or nuance right off the bat. He's kind of like
he's not a very assassiny assassin. Like even like his assassinations are like he kills a lot of people. Yeah, he's like, I'm here. Ah!
Yeah, exactly.
Like says a prayer.
But I will tell you that smoke bomb works wonders.
Smoke bomb does work wonders.
But so yeah, he agrees to work with them, and then you're opened up to a bunch of missions because they basically are like, we can't just storm it again because they're gonna be, increasing defenses. We're gonna have to have a well thought out plan. We've got to recover, do all this stuff, and so you're opened up with a bunch of missions, which I paid attention to kind of, the official order of them. And, canonically speaking, the very first one is with Ugo, who tells Ezio about captured thieves that Emilio is planning to execute. So Ezio goes to free them. Which I had a lot of fun with that because, essentially, it was like, that was the one you go in like 3 separate areas of like restricted areas. With
yeah, and you have to kill the corrupt thieves, right?
No, that's the one where you're freeing the ones that were imprisoned.
That was the first one you were supposed to do?
Again, you can do them in any order.
I know, but that was like the first one mechanically.
I feel like think about it. I mean,
I feel like the first one should be Rosa teaching you how to climb that shit because it's literally right there.
True, but it's not. Yeah, there wasn't. I don't know. It's just how the game's fucking order, man. I don't know what to tell you.
I'm just judging it.
But I don't know how you approached it, but every time I did, I just got up on the roofs and then like just air assassinated the guards that were in front of the thing, which always aggroed one of the groups guarding the outside, not both. You'd think, because it's pretty much directly in the middle all the time, and so you'd think it would aggro everybody, but it would only aggro one of the groups, which was nice because then I would just take that exit and I just ignore the other one to get them out, so then I didn't have to worry about aggroing anybody else.
See, I just, in classic brute, I just kind of went down there. I walked towards the entrance, and I went, Psah! And I killed 2 of them, and I started fighting them. and I just killed them all, so that I could just walk anywhere I wanted.
The absolute, like, just surge of dopamine I get when I walk up, double assassinate one, and then like this huge group, and then do another double assassination directly after, and then get another. Like, I've been able to assassinate like 6 people in a row before, and then like have the last one run off, and like it's so cool just being able to chain that together.
Well, and I love using the hidden blades too, just as like a weapon, because like if you get counters off and you kill people. The guards get and the guards get scared.
Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed that. Like
Yeah.
the guards will run away way more frequently than they do with other weapons.
Which I actually did utilize the blades a lot more this time.
I utilized them a lot this time. I was trying to use my dagger more, but honestly, a dagger is weak as shit. Maybe I just have a shitty dagger. I tried buying a better one.
Yeah, you
but
probably
it takes
should.
a lot of hits.
Because I have a butcher knife. I have the best one in the game.
Maybe I should buy the butcher knife then, because I bought like a different one. It was because I thought it looked cool. It had it was like a squiggly line looking thing.
I think I know which one you're talking about. But
yeah, it took me forever to fucking whack people with it. So I started using my blades and sword again.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, it's like a mid, you know, like the assassin's blade, you know, the counter time's really, you know, like quick and everything like that, and it doesn't do a whole lot of damage. But then, you know, successful counters are really powerful.
Well, yeah, you can even counter the knights with assassin's blade.
Yeah, you can counter everybody except the brutes, obviously.
No, you can.
Even the brutes?
The big one with the big guy's armor?
Yeah.
Yeah, you like will come close and you'll stab them up in the neck through their armor. Right here.
Oh yeah, I like that's like a finisher or whatever, but I don't.
I did that for a counter because like he came at me and I hit the wrong one because I was trying to dodge, but I countered and I just like went. I was like, oh, maybe you have to get him. Maybe you have to get him to a certain health. I wonder if to get him to a certain health.
That could definitely be.
I know because like when they get down to like 2, they're like kind of start wobbling.
Right. Yeah, I could see that. Not 100% sure on that. But, you know, so then, like, your knife is essentially kind of like a in the middle thing. Because it's quicker, obviously, than the sword. And so you can get off a lot more. And I like the flow of the dagger a lot. I think it's
really fun.
Yeah, I think it's the most fun weapon of the 3. Because, again, you've got the speed of the assassin's blade while not quite as quick. But then it's a lot more versatile. And so there is a wide variety of enemies in Venice, because I think, you know, Forley, I didn't really use the Assassin's Blades mostly because a lot of the people had, pretty much most of them had armor to where, like, it was kind of annoying to use the blades, so I didn't use it. Whereas, like, there is a pretty wide variety of guards in Venice to where it still felt like my blades could actually do some damage because there were a fair bit of guards without, you know, like metal armor that I could do that with. And even with metal armor, you know, to a certain extent, like the blades, yeah, they chop through pretty much anybody.
I love that. I love the counter. Yeah. With the blades. It feels good.
Oh, yeah. 100%. Just like mowing through fools. But yeah, I definitely had a lot of fun messing around with the blades a lot more this sequence than I have in the past. But, did you end up losing any of the prisoners you freed?
Nah.
I lost one because he fucking drowned. He just fell in the water. Yeah, he killed himself. So that was fun.
Head. I just took a bridge. I just walked the whole way there.
See, I was like, oh, shiny thing. So I went and collected it real quick. And then also, I spent so much fucking unnecessary money accidentally hiring people when I would tell them to stay, because it's the same button to hire somebody as it is to tell your group to stay. So I would be unknowingly close to a group, and so I would hire them. And so I literally spent like 450 florins. Like, I hired like 3 or 4 different groups just doing that over and over, and it pissed me off. Like, I was like, this happens one more fucking time, I swear to God. So I wasted a shit ton of money on this mission, just accidentally hiring new groups. I hired like 2 different thieves groups and like 1 group of prostitutes, and I was like, fucking hell, man. And so that was a thing that happened a few times. And then basically, you know, after you free those, he tells you to meet him on the docks where he's got, you know, a next mission, which is where he asks you to rob a shipment of Emilio's guards' armor that they're essentially going to use to impersonate the archers, so that they don't have to worry about that again, and then steal a boat and bring it to him. So it's all part of like setting up their next plan.
A lot of like 3-part missions here.
Yeah, exactly. Which this one's kind of similarly set up, where it's like you're not going to restricted areas, but you're going to, like, you know, rob these like treasure chests that are guarded, and so you usually got to kill a few people, grab that, and then you're headed into a pretty large restricted area to steal that boat. Which I didn't even really worry about stealth that time, to be honest with you, because I think I was snagging a chest nearby, and then I took a poster off, and I was like, the poster was directly in the restricted, and I was like, I'm literally gonna get noticed immediately, but I don't care. Fuck it, whatever. So I just ripped it in front of them, pissed them off even more, and then they're just like, "Yeah, fuck you," and I was like, "Man, fuck you," and I killed all of them.
Yeah, I think that's what I did. I mean, I didn't rip the poster, but I just went up and killed them all, and I took the boat.
Yeah.
Because I felt like it was easiest. There was the one where you could just jump in the water behind the guards and just steal the chests. That was my favorite one because it was just like sneaky.
Oh yeah. I thought about it. I saw that one and I was like, I could definitely do this, but I'd done a lot of running around prior, and I was like, I don't really want to go all the way around just to like be a little sneaky guy. So fuck it. Let me just. But I did see that.
I just happened to be coming from that way, so it was convenient.
Yeah, I was on the opposite end, so I was just like, I'm good. But so that's kind of like Ugo's little set of missions that you can do there. Meanwhile, going to Antonio. Antonio tells Ezio of traitors in their midst. This is one you were talking about.
Yeah, that's one.
So, Ezio's got to identify and kill them, which this is, I believe, the first time officially in the game that you get to check out those little quasi-pirate ships. Not actual pirate ships, but those little ships. Yeah. Because I'm trying to think, because this isn't the first time I've assassinated somebody like that, but I think the other time was an assassination mission as a side mission.
Okay.
So I think this is the first time you can like officially do it. But I just like how the ships are designed, and they're really fun.
Yeah, they're pretty cool.
So I almost got caught on specifically for that ship one, but I just climbed on top of the ship because they were like, "What are you doing here?" And I was like, "Don't worry about it." And just kept climbing up so that I could do a big old air assassination.
Oh, I got caught on that one. I just assassinated. I just got in a fight with them and stabbed them.
Yeah, I was about to do that. I was like, "Nah, I want my air assassination. I want a bit of coup." That's exactly what I did. But there's a couple others that are just strolling around, on the rooftop and then walking around. Which that one that was walking in that little marketplace, I just double assassinated.
Oh, that's what exactly.
Yeah, I was laying around. I was like, boop.
I was like, and then I walked away.
Yeah,
that was easy.
Exactly. So disposing of some traitors. Fuck them. And then finally, you go up to Rosa, where she's got a couple missions for you.
She's a cripple.
Yeah, so he asks her to teach him the climb leap technique because he sees her scale this pretty well, which, I'm surprised she doesn't give him as much shit as she does, basically being like, hey, teach me this intricate climbing technique while she's literally crippled.
Yeah. It's like, well, I can't now. That was basically all she said.
Literally. Like, well, a little under the weather right now, as I literally took an arrow to the fucking leg, but I'll show you Franco. So you learn the climb leap ability, which I was trying to get this viewpoint,
dude. Yeah, exact same fucking thing. I was like, there's gotta be mechanically learned. I was like, that was literally my last thing I did. I was like, I cannot figure this out. I was like, I'm missing something. I haven't learned something yet.
Well, I looked it up because I'm like, there's no fucking way. And then they were like, dude, calm down, bro. You're not far enough yet. And I was like, damn it. I was like, man, what it now? Because that's that's right where the Templar hideout is. So then I thought, well, maybe you have to finish the Templar hideout to do it. So I did that and finished it, and then I came out and it was not there, and I was like, damn it, what the fuck? But it literally is part of the next mission because Rosa then challenges Ezio to climb the tower using the climb leap.
Which I was so happy when I learned the climb leap that I went and did that waypoint. Just to do it again.
Yeah, I went and did it, and I was like, I'm pretty sure this.
No, I saw where it was, and I was like, I think I'm just going to climb this bitch again.
Yeah, but I was like, whatever. I was like, I'll learn the routes, and then I can do it really quickly. And that's exactly what I did.
Yeah.
I gave you the 5 minutes, but I was just like, brrr.
Yeah, it took. I was like, still 4 minutes, 30 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. And so, but yeah, climb leap is great. It makes because again, beautiful. The platforming is, the climbing is just a lot faster than the first game, and everything's great, which, actually, I wanted to bring up. Did you pay attention to the fact that Altair is still slower in that dream sequence?
Yeah.
They still have the old mechanics? I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Because then it helps, differentiate the assassins, where, Ezio is just a naturally stronger climber than Altair. So it wasn't just hey, this is a thing we're improving. They stuck to the whole these are different aspects of the different assassins, which I really liked.
Oh yeah.
Little side note real quick, but again, you scale up a lot faster. They definitely improved the climbing in the game.
And to be honest, I remember that jump jumping technique so much because apparently I used it so much that like I just thought it was part of the game, and then when it wasn't, I was just like, oh, maybe it's not in this game. I thought because like
right. Yeah, it's definitely cool just because then, it makes just, traversing around a lot easier.
So nice.
You can then,
you can not have to crawl around the entire opposite side just to make this one crawl climb.
Yeah, exactly. It definitely helps, traversal streamline a little bit more. It's just sick. And so with that, you've gained a lot of skills, and this all takes place over another 4 years.
Yeah.
Which they do break the canon technically, because I checked the DNA, and it is like these missions take place over 4 years. But then during the actual assassination mission, they claim that he's only been in Venice for a few weeks, when it's actually been 4 years. So Ubisoft, you fucked up there.
They did.
You did a plot hole.
Fuck up.
You fuck up.
Continuity error.
Yep, there's a continuity error in your fucking game, because it says very specifically in the DNA that those missions took place from 1481 to 1485, and that the assassination takes place in 1485. So 4 years after he arrived in Venice.
And what makes that funny is like, are we on that mission?
We're pretty much there, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because he makes a comment about like how he's like, the assassin, is he here?
Yeah.
And then like if it's been 5 years and he didn't know, I think that's even funnier than
exactly.
Been there for 2 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. So they do kind of break that a little bit, which I think they definitely like didn't put too much like thought into like the timeline as they were making it, and I feel like that was one of the things they added later, was kind of like figuring out, okay, what's the exact time frame here. And so I think it was one of those things that just kind of like got missed. But
happens.
Yeah.
Bad game.
Yeah, dog shit. Honestly, I don't even know why we have this stupid podcast. It's just fucking doo doo ass game. But yeah. So essentially, you've got the plan in place over the last 4 years, and so Ezio works with Antonio and his thieves to get rid of him once and for all.
Yeah, you get all that stuff you stole and you put it to use.
Yeah, exactly. So, you go around taking out archers, replacing them with, Antonio's men, and then, head into the fortress where Emilio is having a meeting with Carlo, who Antonio reveals is a member of the Council of 10. And so, kind of like getting more into like the politics of Venice and the overarching, political climate of Italy. But, you get to the fortress, you have to get rid of Emilio within a certain time frame before, because he's getting ready to leave. Which I was worried because... I
didn't even see the time frame.
There wasn't a timer, but the objective was to kill him before he left. So, but like it had him very close to the exit pretty much immediately, so I got really
I got
worried.
nervous. Yeah, saw that.
And so like because I was up on the roof, like, trying to like, do stuff. And so then I just dropped down basically directly in front of him, popped a smoke bomb, and then just gunned it. It's like fuck you. And so
I took a gamble, and I was like, they wouldn't make him leave right now if he said, like, if it was like we had to get him before he left. So he I don't know if you pay attention, he eventually walks back up to grab stuff from his like room or whatever. But I just dropped down from the top, killed one dude, and then he saw me, so I just like sprinted at him, and I had to like knock some guards over because they were coming at me, and I just went stab.
Hell yeah. And so, like that's pretty much over with, and until Antonio takes out like the rest of the guards, so you don't have to worry about making a mad dash.
And then they shoot one at you because they're just having fun.
Yeah. And Antonio's basically like, yeah, anything you want, and it feels like some money would be nice.
I like money.
So he plops that into your lap, so that's pretty sweet. And that's where, like I said, he talks about Carlo, who, Ezio's now plotting as his next target. Is they're, planning a meeting. So he's going to figure out where this goes next. His quest never stops. His blade always thirsts for blood. And so that's the end of Sequence 7. Like I said, a pretty lengthy one. The actual sequence itself is, I think, pretty standard. But then, with that present day sequence, quasi sequence in between. You know, we had a lot of stuff. There's a lot of like really cool like story moments in here. You know, meeting Antonio and Rosa, as well as you know,
you're learning new game mechanics too, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, you know, still getting new game mechanics. 7 sequence again. We would be done with the first game by now, and we still got another 50% of the game to get through. Which is pretty crazy.
We got to see our boy Altair again.
Exactly, something I completely forgot about. Like, I
don't even remember it. Like that's how, and I definitely played through this game. So it's like,
but yeah, it's a super fun time, and there's just the way that this game continues to, like I said, like just innovate and evolve what's came before, and continue like tying back. I think one of the things I do appreciate about this game so much is, as much as it is superior to the first in pretty much every aspect, it never tries to erase it, and it keeps trying to like build off of it rather than replace it. And so, just like showing that reverence to the first title while still just making it pretty insignificant by its own merits, is, it's great. And I wish Ubisoft stuck with that throughout the franchise. I keep seeing, I keep playing this game and being amazed by it and wowed and just being like, man, those future games really aren't quite as great as, this really got to be. This is some peak Assassin's Creed shit right here.
They worked their asses off for those games, and you can really feel it on almost every level of the game. Like, they didn't slack really anywhere.
No, they really didn't.
They kick corners.
Yeah, and especially, like, compared to the first game, you had your, like, 3 cities in the mountain area, and, you can tell that a lot of assets were kind of, like, cut and pasted, but, a lot of the ground, a lot of it was foundational groundwork, but, like, here in Italy, there's so many, like, sprawling city, like, again, we're up to 4 now. Yeah, and, we're still not done yet.
Intricately, like, all laid out. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, we're not gonna talk about Tuscany, but 3 out of 4 ain't bad.
Yeah, Tuscany was not great.
Yeah,
fucking archers, stupid assholes.
Stupid fucking town. But anyway, but yeah, I'm still having a lot of fun with this game. How are you feeling? We're halfway through now. What are your thoughts?
I don't remember things getting so expensive. I don't remember like armor being like $17,000 or whatever bullshit it was.
Yeah, it's up to around like 20 now. But yeah.
But no, I'm having a great time as always. I miss. I want to do some more of the side quests that I missed. I'll probably do some of those for next episode.
Maybe, I don't know. You always leave it for the last minute, so.
I thought I'm playing on Friday, and that's.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
But this has been another episode of ReSync, an Assassin's Creed podcast. Next week, we will cover Sequence 8 going into the back half of the game. The stakes will get higher. Things will get more challenging. More things to explore and stuff like that. I didn't actually do any assassination missions, so I'll probably get into that next sequence. Like I said, I only did that one side mission, so it was a little streamlined this time, but I feel like I'll have a lot of frolicking to do next sequence in Venice, now that it's kind of opened up more proper. But, appreciate you guys, and real quick before we go, I did want to mention we got some Shadows news. They did a progression deep dive, actually talking about how the progression works, and they finally confirmed something which I was pretty eager to learn about, which is the fact that progression is shared between the protagonists. So as you earn XP for Nawe, you will also earn it for Yasuke as well, and vice versa. So it's not like you're going to fall behind. Yeah, you're not grinding 2 characters. It is shared, which, I'm very appreciative of. I'm, super happy that doesn't happen. They also talk about, I'd seen recently that I believe the canon mode, which is what I plan on playing like for my first playthrough, because I'm just curious to see how that goes. I believe in the missions they do select the character for you instead of letting you choose. They said because they very specifically said that you can still switch characters in the open world. So that kind of, insinuates that you won't be able to during missions, which I'm actually okay with. Obviously, you still have like the non-canon mode if you want to switch on the fly, but then that kind of like takes that like guessing game out of like being like, ooh, what did the developers really tailor, like which one did they tailor this mission for, and that's one of the reasons I'm actually kind of excited for canon mode. I know like some people don't really care about that canon mode because it's like, obviously like I want to be able to make my choices as an RPG. But again, like as someone, who's particularly fond of the old action adventure roots, having that canon mode is really nice. It makes me feel nostalgic for that side of Assassin's Creed. And then I feel like it'll present a pretty balanced way of enjoying the game to the fullest extent, So I'm excited to do that and jump into that. But they essentially talked about that there's two different, I guess, ways that progression works. There's mastery, which are just basically like the skill trees, where like each weapon tree allows you to improve and expand your skills by learning new combos, increasing weapon efficiency, or unlocking deadly abilities. So you can like basically increase your assassination stuff where you can start assassinating, like one-shotting like random, like increasingly difficult enemies as you put points into it and whatnot. But also there is an option to just make everybody able to be assassinated with one shot, which I think is kind of cool. You can just like assassinate bosses if you want to. Like it's an accessibility setting where it's like, if you're stealthy enough, go for it, which I think is kind of cool. I don't know. It probably, I feel like it would feel a little cheap if I were to do that.
You can't even do that in the early games.
Yeah, exactly. But you can technically turn it on. It's a cool little cognitive accessibility feature they have there. But then there's also the knowledge system where you earn mastery points that you can invest, but you do need a certain level of knowledge to access certain skills. So it's not like everything in the mastery skill tree is available to you at the start. You have to have a certain tier of knowledge to access like a certain set of mastery skills, and then you get more knowledge, and you get knowledge. And so you earn, knowledge points by essentially just like, progressing through the game. And so, but yeah, all, your level, XP, mastery points, and knowledge are gained by both people equally, so neither character is left behind. But yeah, trying to make sure there's nothing that nothing that I'm forgetting. They did tease a little bit about endgame stuff because they said once you reach the 6th rank of knowledge, you will have all skills available to unlock in your mastery trees, but you then gain access to a brand new knowledge tree and continue progressing, offering numerous new passive skills, allowing you to maximize certain stats. I'm imagining this is going to be similar to like the Marvel Avengers system, not to bring up that game, but like where you essentially have all of your skills and then it's going to be a bunch of like percentage increases where it's like, like this melee attack does, 2% damage, which you can upgrade to 4% and 6% and so on and so forth.
Yeah,
I imagine it's going to be stuff like that, like stat stuff.
Faster. Like
yeah, exactly. Like different stat-based stuff. And so... let's see. Anything else that I know here? I'm just making sure I'm not forgetting about anything. A lot of stuff that's returning from the past RPGs where, your gear quality, you've got like common to legendary, legendary equipment's going to be available only in certain places and what's not. They've got a transmog system, so you can do that.
Hell yeah.
They've got perks, which, can be like straightforward stat improvements. They can influence afflictions, which that is another thing they talked about where it's like basically, which I'm trying to think. Oh, yeah. So there are 4 types of afflictions that you can do in the game where you can make enemies bleed, you can poison them, you can daze them, which a lot of times has to do with Yasuke's attacks, and then you can knock them out. Where they just stay down on the ground for a certain amount of time. Another one that's usually from Yasuke, where it's usually like when an enemy's grabbed and then KO'd. But yeah, you can use different perks to help with those afflictions. And then one thing I saw is they actually started like going into a stealth build for Yasuke, where it is pretty like range focused. But that got me excited because again, that's kind of like my big thing is like I want to be stealthy, like and so like the whole thing about the separation between Yasuke and Nawe, where Yasuke seems to be the non-stealth focus and Nawe seems to be the stealth focus, but then you can't really have the best of both worlds with either of them. But then it seems like you kind of can with Nawe because she doesn't she can't take as many hits, but like she does have like a ton of different weapons she can use. So
combat seems pretty cool.
Yeah, it does feel like I'll want to spend the majority of my time as Nawe versus Yasuke. But they did talk about like with a bow that there's some pretty sick stealth builds that you can make archer. With that archer. Pretty much, yeah. You literally can be like a stealth archer. So yeah, it's pretty sick. But and then there's also you can create like specific builds where you have like you're buffed at nighttime and things like that, and just it seems like there's some really cool customization options that you can do there. But yeah, super cool stuff. So again, we are less than a month away from Shadows. I'm super excited. Also want to give a just like a quick little like promo that I am going to be streaming the game over on my Twitch at PandaMaster Twitch. When the game comes out, I'm starting stream at 11:30 the night before, 11:30 Eastern. I'm going to be playing the game right at release for 24 hours straight. I'm doing a 24-hour live stream, and then I'm going to sleep for a little while and be back for another 12, and then I'll sleep for a little bit. So, like, I'm literally going to put in, like, 42 hours within the first 2 days of the game because I'm just, I'm all in it. I'm super excited. It's one of my most anticipated games of the year, and I know, if I don't get through it quickly, then it's just not going to get done because that's how I am with video games.
And it's, kind of an RPG. And
yeah, it's a huge RPG that's probably going to take a long time. They basically said, I don't think they really talked about how long the game is yet, but they pretty early on had said they weren't trying to make another Valhalla because there were a lot of complaints that Valhalla was too big. So I'm curious where this one kind of lands, but I'm sure it's going to take at least that much, and I'm not going for 100%. I'm going to save that for when we get to it in the podcast, but I do want to roll credits here so then we can have a bonus plus episode talking about it at some point. And so, but I'm going to be streaming it a lot. So if you guys aren't planning on getting the game, right at launch and you're curious to see, or if you just, want to see how other people are playing the game, I'll be streaming that over on my Twitch. And so I've got the schedule out now for you guys to look and see what it is in your time zone over on my Twitch. So go check that out if you haven't already. But we're almost there. It's super fun, but we'll get out of here. We were kind of, like I said, I almost forgot about that Shadows news I wanted to drop over there. There's also some really cool collaborations that they've been dropping, like, leading into it.
We have
what?
We've gone over time.
Yeah. Fuck you, that's why. Yeah, he wants to go get drunk with his friends, but I got shit to talk about. There's really cool phone covers. We're almost done. But he's getting antsy. But they came out with really cool phone covers with Rhino Shield. I'm really mad though because they don't have my phone. It's just basically like the newest of all the phones, like the Samsung, Apple, Google. So fuck me, I guess. But they also came out with a workout challenge that I really want to get into. I just need to get a jump rope for. It's a 5-week challenge that uses different like aspects of like the different eras of assassins, where they have the first week is assassin training, week 2 is pirate training, week 3 is Spartan training, week 4 is Viking training, and week 5 is samurai / shinobi training. And they actually like had like a fitness trainer like come up with stuff that was inspired by these different backgrounds, and it looks really cool. So I'm actually going to try that out here hopefully next week. So I will update you guys, but that is also available on their website and on all their social medias and whatnot. They have like they're coming out with TikToks where the guy who made them gives like tips and things like that throughout. So it's really cool. I definitely recommend checking that out. And then they did a sponsorship with Focus Fuel, which is exclusively available at GNC, where there's this exclusive flavor of caffeine gummies that unlocks a weapon in the game as well as some in-game currency if you get it. So I'm definitely going to make a trip over there to try to snag some because that sounds dope. And then something I'm really sad about because I think you can get it in the US, but when I went to the website, it was only available like in like European districts. Like you could go to a British version, which I imagine you could technically get it shipped over to the US, but it's very expensive, so I don't think I'm going to do that. But they came out with, this French company came out with some sick PC peripherals for Shadows. There's a gaming mouse and it's 2 different mouse pads. There's a headset and a stand for it. There's this specific controller, which is kind of an in-between between like the DualShock 4 and the DualSense. It's a bit of a weird design, to be honest, but it does look pretty sick. As well as a keyboard. And there's some really cool PC peripherals. So if you're playing on PC, and I believe all of them come with a copy of the game on PC, and so it's a pretty good value, but it is a little pricey, but it definitely is worth the money because the designs are really sick. But I'm not 100% positive about worldwide availability because they didn't do a whole lot of marketing for it, and it does seem to be kind of like a Europe exclusive thing. But definitely look into that. Anyway, that's it. We're getting over. I appreciate you guys.
Oh yeah.
We will see you guys next week. And remember that nothing is true.
Everything is permitted.
Ta-ta.